Hey y'all, Kalari here. I promised and I'm going to keep the promise of starting up this mental health blog. I feel like being able to talk about this not only helps me, but it shows people that yes, you can get to my age with mental health issues and some of the things that I went through so that you know that you're not alone. I want to take a moment to thank everybody who was supportive on my first vlog like this, talking about my mother, who I really feel has strong narcissistic personality disorder issues, but like most narcissists, won't get help for it, so they make everybody around them suffer. I like to think that this not only helps me right now, because like many, we're struggling through this pandemic that is still ongoing, y'all. I know some of you have gotten vaccinated, and thank you for that, but there are still many more who haven't, and it's very dangerous right now, especially with those of us who go through paranoia, who have agoraphobia. I've been trying to get out of the house a lot more. Now that my partner is here and actually lives with me, it's a lot better. He is getting us out of the house a little bit more, but it's still hard. I mean, yesterday, all I kept thinking while we were in the car is, I really want to be back home. And he was very in tune to that. We had to go through construction, so it took way longer for us to get back to the house. And by the time we got back, it was like he could see instantly, it was like, she feels safe now. And it's such a vast difference from the way I had it before that I decided that would be the next topic. Having a partner when you have mental health issues, both the pros, the cons, and the in betweens, because I feel like people think people with mental health issues and mental illness either don't deserve love or we make it harder for our partners. And I understand the fear. Trust me. When I'm manic, I fear how I come across, especially to Greg, especially to Kiddo, even. So I try to retreat, keep to myself when I'm feeling a certain way. But when somebody loves you, it's hard for that to happen. And then when you have it where lucid days sometimes aren't as strong as they should be, you wonder if stuff happened that didn't happen. And having a partner that doesn't lie, having a partner that can go to you and go, no, that didn't happen, calm down, and talk to you like a human being really helps. And I didn't always have that. And I'm sure I am far from somebody who's had schizoaffective or just bipolar or depression or any of the myriad of mental illnesses out there. Having schizophrenia, it is very hard on days when I'm super stressed and I can't tell what's what. So having a partner that actually cares and knows, hey, she's going through it, let me help her ride it out or be there, is so important. And I didn't always have that. Now, a lot of this story is my side. I understand that. And that's why I'm going to limit names. I'm going to limit some of the stuff that pertains to other people, because I'm still of the mindset of not putting people's business out there that don't want it out there. But the story starts in Florida. I had moved back in 95 after getting out of high school, after my last winter in New York, where I stepped off a bus, fell into a snowdrift, and I'm only 5'3" now as a full-on adult. So I got those last 3 inches right after the age of 18. The winter before that was horrible. And in New York, they loved packing ice. So you would step off the bus thinking you were going to get on a solid thing and climb down and walk home. No, I sunk down in it. And after that, I was like, I'm done with cold states. Funny, because I moved back to one. I'm getting out of here. I was covered head to toe with snow. I wanted out. My auntie at the time was relocating herself, her husband, and her family to Florida, and I wanted to get out. So I was like, I can go to school in Florida. Let's go. I don't want to say it's the worst mistake of my life, but I would say that even though I'm glad I got out of New York for all the issues I had in New York, for all the anger and unchecked mental health things I was going through, I think New York would have been worse for me. So leaving my hometown was a good thing. I just think that Florida held a whole bunch of problems that I probably could have did without. And Moving with family may seem like a good idea when you're young, but I wish I had it now because there was a lot of stuff that went on in that house. A lot of stuff that's not my place to talk about, but I knew I had to get out of there because the catalyst for me was standing over my then uncle's body because he was an uncle by marriage. I like to not consider him family anymore since they're no longer together. But I stood over that man with a butcher knife, weighing whether or not I should throw my life away and end him because it was just that bad. It was a house of horrors. And like I said, it's not my story to fully tell, but as somebody who was promised to secrecy, and back then I took secrecy so serious. If you told me, 10, don't tell, I didn't tell. Even if it was something that I probably should have told the family because it was messed up, because I was begged by the person I loved and respected the most not to tell anybody what they were going through, what the kids were going through. I held in a lot of stuff, and I knew if I didn't get out of that situation, something bad was going to happen. And I literally stood over that man while he was asleep on the couch with a knife in my hand, ready to end it. I remember having a conversation down the line a few years ago after this all was said and done, and getting the, oh, maybe you should have vibe from the conversation. It's like, no, I'm not going to throw away my life that easily. Though I've contemplated it several times, and it's going to come up in this talk about relationships. When you are emotionally unstable, when your manics push you to that, and you also have the idea that I can just do it. It is a dangerous combo. So having a partner that treats you humanely but understands your moods is so key, and I didn't get that. I needed a way out of that situation I had found myself in. I wasn't going to school, which I was supposed to be. I was working my ass off at a dead-end job, and I was miserable. And in walked somebody who not only smooth talk, but everything he said was lies. From his age, from stuff about his parents. Everything he said to me was lies, but I was at the mind frame of I needed an out, and he seemed like a good idea. And I gave up 10 years of my life to one of the most sadistically abusive people I've ever met in my entire life. When he wasn't making me feel like a piece of shit about my looks, when he wasn't getting jealous at any old thing, but ignoring when people blatantly flirted with me if he could, use it to his advantage. When he wasn't taking money from me and making me feel like things didn't happen that happened, especially after I got a clear diagnosis of my mental health issues. Baker acting me repeatedly and making it known that he could do whatever he wants to me because nobody will believe me because you're just a crazy bitch. On top of telling me that anytime he wanted, he could have me put away. There is a distinct fear that many of us have when we're in mental health issues, when we live with mental health, and in a relationship with somebody who is manipulative, who is harmful and hateful, and who just want to let you know that your life is in their hands. And I live with the fear still until my kid turns 18 of somebody trying to use my health issues against me. That's why I work my ass off to keep my house straight, to keep my finances as in line as I can, to make sure that nobody says that my son is being neglected, because I have nasty people out there. And if the former person I was with had his stuff together, I know he would have tried it. If he knew how much fear I had of him doing that, even, he probably would have tried it, but he didn't want to be a dad. The problem with my ex especially was he just wanted somebody to be with him. And like I said, everything our relationship started on was lies. The first lie was his age. I was 18, almost 19 when we met, and I was working at a grocery store. And he comes in a lot, but customers, I don't really, and unless you are regular, a lot of retail employees do not remember you. And even then, we are busy most days. But he kept coming in and he had me show him where stuff was. And I don't know, he just picked the right evening to do it. He brought a rose. He had some cheesy line. And the next thing I know, I was going out on a date with him. And the date was weird because we went to like a Kmart cafeteria and we discussed Kmart, which back then, coming from New York, I kind of had a bit of a snobbish mentality. I'm not even going to lie about that. My family had a bit of means back in the day, especially, and I didn't shop at stores like that. And I had made it clear that, I didn't even know Kmart really had a cafeteria. And, that's when the lie spin, how he was an orphan, how he was way younger than he was. I found out he was 14 years older than me later on down the line. Just a lot of stuff that didn't have to be lied about. I'm not an ageist. Well, I think nowadays I probably wouldn't date somebody 14 years my senior for any reason because of the power and dynamics that it brings to a relationship. But the stuff he lied about, he didn't have to. And the fact that he did and I ignored those red flags is something that nobody, mental health or not, should, because it leads to more things. And because of the issues that I started to confide in him because we were dating for some odd reason, he became what I would like to say this hero complex. He wanted to make it seem like he was the better option. He was saving me from a bad situation. Move in with me and you'll be happy. And I was only 19 by the time this rolled around. I honestly didn't have any real world experience. Even though I lived in New York, I was sheltered and having mental health issues that were undiagnosed at the time. I thought, you know what? The alternative is staying where I am and possibly committing my first and only murder. So I need to get out of this situation. And so I did. And the hardest thing when we first moved in was the constant put down compliments. Things like, oh, you're hot, but you would be hotter if you dropped a few pounds. Or, I like the way you do things, but you could do it a bit better. Just underhanded stuff. Making me paranoid about the neighbors until I talk to them. Oh, don't get too close with this person because, they're racist. And then come to find out that they were nice people. He just didn't want me getting too friendly with anybody around because that was his whole strategy. Get me away from people so that I didn't have people to talk to. And this was even before my mental health stuff started to manifest because I didn't know that stress brought that on. And taking on extra jobs because foolish me, I thought, well, I'm not going to school. I can work 2 jobs. So I took on a full-time bookkeeping position and my part-time grocery store job. And the signs of the stress of trying to keep up, keep house, take care of bills, he was in and out of work, started to get to me. And it started with physical illnesses. My migraines were so strong then, it wasn't even funny. When I wasn't in the ER for extreme head pain, other things, fatigue, having stuff that I felt happened that didn't happen going on, the stress of being in the neighborhood we were in because we moved from a secure, smaller efficiency to this house that we were fixing up to move into, and we had our dog, but I don't know who lived there before, and I don't know about the people that live behind us, but we constantly had people knocking on our door looking for the wrong people, and we had a person try to push in to our house. So all of that, between working 2 jobs and stress in the neighborhood, started to get to me, and it started manifesting in depression and non-lucidity. And I tried to get out of the relationship, but that didn't work. I became so codependent on having him because I believed that it was scary. And he was telling me things like, you wouldn't survive without me. And I really believed that. So when I got the opportunity from my full-time job to move away, and this was after they had laid me off and structurally changed hands from the people I was working with to a bigger company, they called me back, thank goodness, and they were like, we've got a position for you in Clearwater. This could have been my full opportunity to get away from my ex, start new and fresh in a new city, but I was scared. And I did not want to live somewhere in Florida, away from family, away from people I had known in Orlando by myself, so he came with me. Worst decision ever. We got another efficiency because I was the one paying the bills. I was the one with a solid job, and I knew I couldn't afford to get back and forth and pay all the bills and handle it. So we had a nice Greek landlady, and her family was just so sweet, but they were charging us way too much for what should have just been a room. And a lot of stressful stuff happened while I was in Clearwater. A lot of stuff I just mentally packed away so that I wouldn't think about it. But I experienced a lot of loss with this man. The fighting that was normalized by him, the constant nitpicking when he wasn't contributing half of what he should. And Clearwater should have been a clear sign for me not to stay with this person, but I did. And when I got a promotion and shipped to the southernest part of Florida, the South Florida office, I thought I could still make this work. We upgraded. We got a nice, almost luxury apartment. I had a car service taking me back and forth to the office. I was making a salary position as an office manager. Things felt like it was looking up work-wise, but personal-wise, I was on the brink of a full-on nervous breakdown. He was pressuring me to marry him, which I shouldn't have. My mom and my sister at the time decided that they couldn't handle their stuff, so they moved in. So all those added pressures on top of the stress of running an office, keeping the finances straight, dealing with the inter-office issues, because there was a lot of drama with that going on, it just started to manifest again. And I still wasn't getting help. And then I finally started to get a bit tougher. I sent my mom and sister away. I made the mistake of what I thought was marrying this man. And let's just say it was over 20 years ago. So I know that they don't check things well. You learn that throughout history, how you can get a marriage license back then, and most of the time they didn't check the paperwork, or they would have known this marriage can't be legally sanctioned because my ex was still married a few times over. I found that out after spending money on not only getting divorce paperwork drawn up, but also trying to get my son's passport. I was never legally married. And he'll try to spin it and say, oh no, she wasn't lucid, she was crazy. No, I have documents from private eyes, because I had to try to track him down because he tried ducking me. That was another thing he said to me. If you leave me, I'll disappear and you'll never see me again. Like, dude, you're not hurting me with that threat. So I don't know what you thought you were saying by saying that to me, but peace out. But the stuff I found out about his illegal activities, the fake businesses, stuff he did allude to, like getting in trouble for attempted murder, which I don't know where I packed that in my brain or why I didn't think that was enough for me to not stay with this person. But I was having a lot of issues with my schizophrenia, and I wasn't getting help for it at the time. And I know a lot of you are in that situation where you don't have the ability, whether you can afford it or whether you're just not ready to admit you have these issues, to get help. And the worst thing you can have is a partner that isn't supportive, has their own set of issues, including lying a lot, and just the whole idea that you need this person because they're the only person who's going to love you. And if somebody says that to you when you have mental health issues, you need to evaluate if this person's worth it, because most of the time they will show you they're not. The scariest thing for me was the fact that even now he crops up every once in a while. Not even 2 years ago, I think it was last year, I went into Facebook Messenger because I check it every once in a while. I try to stay off Facebook because it's a stressor for me. And I get a private message from him saying, oh, did you get those divorce papers yet? And I let off on him. You know that you are still legally married, so I believe it was his second. Then he has a license with a third and a fourth, and I believe I was the fifth down the line. It's not legal to get marriage paperwork drawn up when you are still legally married to somebody else. That is bigamy. Any marriage after the first is legally not void. It's not an entity because you cannot marry more than one person in the state of Florida. So this messy ass motherfucker, what I'm thinking is, what he did was he married these women, pushed them to the brink like he did me. They said they were going to get a divorce, but they were probably as financially hard up like I was. Unfortunately for me, I came into some money when I got a settlement, and I thought, let me get some divorce papers drawn up. Couldn't find them to sign them. Couldn't get my money back because the company that I did it through is they switched hands. It became another multi-level marketing lawyer firm thingy. All I know is that I can't get that money back, and I was never legally married in the first place. So when you go through stuff like that, it can give you real trust issues when it comes to relationships. And have somebody like him, who I know he knows my social media stuff. I know he's been in and out of my Twitter. He sent me some weird hug message. Yeah, I know it's you, buddy. I know what your face looks like. I might have non-lucid days. I might be diagnosed as crazy, but I know the person I was with for 10 years what you look like. And you need to leave me alone because I'm happy now. And I think that's why he pops up every once in a while to remind me, you who, I was a part of your life. Because he can't stand the fact that I have moved on, that I found a partner that I love, that works with me. We make each other happy. And we keep working together on ways to deal with my stress and his stress and our introvertness and all the stuff that I struggle with the bipolar and the schizophrenia. And it feels good to have somebody in your life that doesn't treat you like your illness is something to exploit, doesn't treat you like your illness is a punchline, doesn't make it seem like they can't handle it because you're depressed one day or you're up and raring to go, because manic is like that. One moment I have a bunch of energy, I'm ready to write, I'm ready to create, I'm ready to do this and that. And then the next moment I could be completely like, I'm hurting, I need to curl up, why am I here? And I try to take my meds, get some rest so I don't get those days as much, but they happen. And then with the schizophrenia, it is constantly like a crowded house in my head. And I try to explain as best I can to people. Voices happen to us. Some people say the voices make them do things. I don't know. My voices have always been a part of who I am. When I was a little girl, I thought they were imaginary friends. As I got older, especially when I was stressed, they would talk to me and sometimes encourage things like self-harm and stuff like that. But I was never prompted to do anything bad. In fact, I think the thing that stopped me from early in my story, from taking my then uncle out with that knife, was the voices that I have, weighing the pros and cons of whether or not killing him would be worth it. And I don't think people understand that. We are on a spectrum when it comes to mental health. And I don't try to say that people don't have voices that convince them that this would be a good thing to do. I just know that my voices have been my backers. They have been my champions. I hear them a lot. And I don't know a better way to explain it to people. I talked to my doctor about it. She helps me rest. It helps turn it from a lot of loudness into kind of like a light buzzing now, and it's so much more tolerable than it was when I was younger. But I kind of don't know if I ever want them to go away because they've been a part of my life for so long, and I don't think people can understand that. I don't think people can understand that having this has been a part of my life so long. If they said there was a cure for it fully tomorrow, I don't know if I'd take it, because a lot of my creativity, a lot of things that I bounce off myself, and I say myself because even though the voices that I hear are distinct, they're males, they're females, I know that they're part of me. I know what's in my head now. I didn't back in the day, but I still talk to them individually. And I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent and scare people away from this health vlog, but I need to be as 100% transparent about this as possible so that people who are going through this know you're not alone. I know it's hard because you can only explain what's going on in your head when you're lucid. You can only tell people who won't look at you like and scared what you're going through and hope that people try to have a little bit of empathy and understanding of what you're going through, but it isn't easy. And it doesn't feel real. Even explaining it to y'all right now, I know for some it's going to be like, that doesn't sound like it happens. And I don't know what to tell you. I just know what I go through, and I know that there are many people that go through this. Over 25 million of us live with mental health issues. And that's why I get leery of people who act like, well, that vehement bigot is a racist, or that person who's just doing evil acts is a mental health sufferer. And it's like, no, mental health is a real serious issue, and it affects your mind and it affects your body. And it's like I said, having a partner that takes advantage of that makes you afraid of getting actual help from hospitals, which is a real issue I have with this. It's why I work so hard not to have non-lucid days if I can help it, or if I'm having it, to completely shut down and rest, because I don't want to be back in a mental health facility. I don't want my son seeing me in one of those places. I don't want my partner having to drop me off or look at me while visiting me in one of those places. And it's hard because I know that a lot of them still do try to help people. But having somebody look you in the eye and tell you that they can lock you away whenever they want it, I never want to go through that again. And if you are with somebody making you go through that, I am sorry. I know it's hard, especially when you don't have the means to move, but there are strategies. There are ways out. And you need to, if you have free resources, because that's what saved me in Florida. There are a lot of free mental health resources that I went to. And I didn't enjoy the group therapy stuff, so I stopped doing that. But I was able to get my meds. It was a shot in the arm for antipsychotics, a lot of antidepressants, and get in therapy, because you can go to a therapist and let them know confidentially what's going on in your relationship, and they will help you get out, because what you're going through, you shouldn't have to. And no partner of yours should make you feel like you can't get out of a situation that's abusive, and it is so detrimental to your mental health journey. So if you are going through that, please know that there are people out there that will help you. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, because as you can hear, I'm still a bit hoarse. It's allergy season, and with what's going on with illness out there, I am paranoid enough as it is. Even though we've been going for car rides, I just don't want to catch the thing that shall not be named. So that's been plaguing my mental health too. But I'm going to get ready to go rest my voice. I'm going to do another one of these. I'm going to try to put these out weekly, but it depends. Depending on how I feel during the day, if I need to talk about this, I like to think that I'll put out more. But for now, I'm definitely going to solidly commit to once a week doing these mental health vlogs, so that people understand that we exist. We're humans, and you can survive, especially if you're younger. I am 44. I know that I did not believe I was going to make it to this age. I really thought that the depression was going to take me out, or the manic was going to take me out, or something happening while my mind wasn't all there. But I'm still here, and it's a work in progress. And if you feel like you can do this, believe me, you can. But I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in to this broadcast, and I will see you next time.